too much power, so they created this
What
nominating
a
committee.
segue, because that is exactly what they're trying to do, or the mayor here in Tulsa was trying to do, was he was trying to fix the police and community strife.
Does that guy look like he's ever fixed anything in his entire life?
It does sometimes look like that.
When in reality the problem is that the police are committing illegal acts, and instead of the people who have sworn to protect our rights, to protect the Constitution, to protect, support and obey it, have not done so, that they now want to create a committee so that they're somehow absolved of their duty to actually do their job.
Yeah.
Which is
Assertion, the
point of
police
view.
are breaking the law.
Okay.
Fact, they cannot break the law by their station.
We are just running out of time for this week. I'm going to have to leave this exciting story. I found the origin of the climate change catastrophe, the fatalism contagion. It all gets back to June 15, 23, our first prediction consensus, where 20,000 people fled London, and because the Thames River was going to overflow. We don't even have time for that. We're going to get to that next week. But because you brought up the mayor, and I had a question that borderlines probably a little bit of conspiracy theory, but remember there were two...
Why are you looking at me?
No, that was just...
for credit anymore.
I wasn't looking at you, that's just my evil glance.
And he kicked off the internet, Tom.
I always get that look, you know. But Mayor G.T. Bynum this week this week and last week, there are a couple of different stories that my spidey sense tells me, and I wanted to ask the Davids if there might not be some underlying reason. Remember, Bynum signed the executive order protecting the LGBTs, adding the words. He had the words gender identity and gender expression, which as a performer, I just love those ideas.
That was about sandwiches.
Because I just love being protected for my expression.
Only the right expression.
Well, turn the other cheek. And so he passed this thing to protect the gender identity, but then just recently, he pulled back that OIM. He wanted to have the Oversight Intelligence Committee or whatever it is.
Civilian Review Board.
So the
Widely unpopular.
the municipal police work for the city.
Correct.
Wouldn't those two plans combine somewhere or intersect somewhere? That is, I mean, would the gender protection, the gender expression protection also lead its way over to the police department?
That's a good point, because we could just all identify as police officers, and then you can do whatever you want. Have you thought about that? That's
just saying.
That's
Wouldn't
sexual
this be a
identity.
way- this would
Part of
be
the
a way-
LGBT 1, 2, 3.
So
It used to be that they would arrest cross-dressers, and now they're probably going to be cops.
You could
or
have English
serving on
comedy
their
here,
oversight.
I mean, I
guess.
don't think if you can't pull off the dress, you know, then yeah, you should be addressed.
Yeah, I got to tell D'Ambrose. So I have to take offense at what you said about GT questioning his bravery. I saw him wearing a firefighter's jacket in a parade, and firefighters are brave.
It was both stunning and brave.
Yes.
You guys, you gotta have some respect for the mayor. He ran for office and he won.
But he wasn't wearing the chaps he said he'd be
You know
wearing.
what? I would respect him as a mayor if he acted like a mayor instead of pretending to be a firefighter.
Well, I'm not gonna shame him.
The guy's like this nerdy SJW. I don't know. Whatever.
I
I
think-
stay out of it.
And I think he's trying his bipartisan best.
In response to your question, though, I don't know. Will there be some weird manifestation somewhere down the line in places you may not want it to be, or that will show up? More than likely.
The mayor is heavy on philanthropic entities doing things governmentally, but I don't have any representation from the philanthropic. And so when he gets this group of the overarching, whatever they're called, citizens, he can get citizens on board with his idea to tell the police, hey, you know, you're not going to be able to kick a transgender off the police department. See?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's a problem because I don't think people realize. We always talk about in state government. You know how many boards and commissions there are? I mean, hundreds and hundreds of them, and they all have their fiefdoms and their power. And the same is true with our city and our county, and the combined. Take our library.
We've
commission.
probably got 1,500 throughout the state.
I tell you, as a homeschool dad, when my kids were all really little, and we had politics overtaking our library, and I had to show up at a library commission meeting, and just so happens that the library director of 30 years was resigning that day, retiring actually was the word, and she was running for the state senate, Don Rubottom's senate seat, and so we had this big event there, and you know who her campaign manager was? The chairman of the library commission. So here's somebody whose job is to hold her accountable. The library commission holds the director accountable, and yet she's paying them to make her look good politically. This is just an example of the corruption and the double dealings that go on with these, because they normally don't have the sunlight of brightness and transparency and openness.
Well, that's to the main point. I mean, you know, one of these big overarching themes is how PC culture is strangling real culture and strangling your individual rights. I mean, these boards, state agencies are just apparatuses of PC culture. Yeah. And if you don't beat it back now, I mean, many argue it's already too late.
The Indian Nations Council of Governments is this regional group that nobody ever elects, but yet they pretty much dictate to all the communities in this area of the state. And there's these regional government, pseudo-government agencies that provide oversight, mostly on zoning and regulation and how houses are built and to what standards and all this ridiculous stuff. You know what it is? It's politicians who are just lacking the courage to stand behind making a decision and say, no, this is what I think it should be. And they water it down.
It comes from the groupthink. You're absolutely right.
Everybody
it's a diffusion of responsibility.
Yes.
I am just part of this cultural awareness that is enforcing the one true view. And let me tell you, it absolutely is a state religion. These neo-Puritans, they are leftists. You must agree with their religious ideals, which are parading as, just kindness. But now, social mandates, as you've seen, if you don't carry water, you're going to get kicked off social media. Your social credit score is going to be negative 800. You can't post on YouTube. You can't use public transit in China. And for the Trump administration to even be considering it is really insulting. I'm sort of with the purist on this, that it's almost dangerous to even discuss it, because what it is, it's total societal control. And we see it with the PC culture. The endemic is that you will never, ever come back up for air again if we get any kind of social credit score implemented in the United States, because it's already here. The apparatus is here. It's all these boards. It's education. It's your smartphone. It's the tech companies. So it's this unholy alliance.
There's going to come a point in time that if you don't have the number, then you're not going to be able to.
That time is here.
It's already a secret now.
The story of Wayne Duke Brown. Do you hear this?
Yes.
Okay. Here's a guy that was fired as a cop after they didn't scrub his social media well enough. Why didn't you scrub Wayne Duke Brown's media and not hire him in the first place?
Wait a minute.
Instead of hiring
Who's talking about the conspiracy theory here?
So Wayne Duke Brown is a police officer that gets hired.
No, keep in mind, they spent a ton of money training the guy and paying him a full-time paycheck while he's going through the academy.
Right.
And then he gets
out of the academy
5 weeks.
Yep.
Then they let him go due to a post that he made before he was ever even even
Or a
apply.
series of
He
those.
said, I think people should be allowed to disagree, and they kicked him off. That's not allowed.
He said he
There's
would
only one
never
opinion on it.
submit to Islam.
Was that the
That was
I think
one of them,
that
but
was
there were
one.
plenty of others. There were others, and according to the news report I saw, that he was
He said mean things.
affiliating himself with the 3%ers movement, and the Southern Poverty Law Center condemned that.
What is the
And-
3%er movement?
well, the Southern Poverty Law, they don't lie. I mean, if they'd say you're bad, right?
Strong argument.
So,
If these guys team
they're
up, we're
a
in trouble.
radical liberal leftist group that smears people, and it really has been sued
And more of
multiple times.
the you got to have the
They're part of the
approval of the SPLF.
They're part of the social credit system that
and-
already exists.
And this goes right back to this police oversight thing. When
Yeah.
you allow a group like that who can be infiltrated by special interests with
Philanthropists.
political views. Yeah.
Well, and once they found it, Mark Lewis found the information. They had him gone within 90 minutes. They terminated his employment within 90 minutes. Now I don't know what he had. It's gone now. So we the public can't go back and see it to see if the police are doing a proper job.
Wait a minute, they work for us and they protect the we don't have the information, why not?
Wait a minute. Now, he's allowed to have whatever political views he wants. Political.
You'd be wrong, you just got fired for this.
Right. But I'm talking about constitutional rights
Constitutional.
here. Yes. Okay. So in whatever religious views, right?
Sure.
If he believes that, Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, the life. Nobody comes to the Father but by me." A Christian can believe that and still serve constitutionally.
For
right?
now.
Okay. So, you've got a bunch of these things going on. I think what they're trying to pin him on is that he will not provide equal protection in the law, which is a constitutional.
Well, that's their
That
would be
makes
the
sense.
concern. That would be the concern.
Like
but
a
again,
judge belonging to La Raza, or perhaps an investigation in the Trump administration comprised exclusively of Hillary Clinton donors. I mean, God, that could be a conflict, huh?
Seems like to me, Wayne Duke here was keeping a healthy separation between church and state. I will not submit to Islam.
Yeah, he's saying he
You
won't
could
be
go on and say,
religious.
I'm not going to submit to Christianity, and I'm not going to submit to Satanists. You can just, who cares what he's not going to submit to?
Yeah.
well, and also we don't know what all he said. Those are the only things that we've seen.
That looks
and
so bad,
Those
too.
are pretty innocuous.
Our money was wasted. Our,
At the
human-
very least, that they didn't do their job vetting the candidate.
Well, but let's take a
Get rid of
step
issues.
back, folks, and
But-
remember that we have a policing force, meaning that they are out there to enforce policy, and those policies are generally unconstitutional. So what we have is we have a police chief who fired this guy, who is a criminal himself, who deserves to be in prison for so
The
many.
chief, you mean?
The chief
Okay.
and so many of the officers because of the policies that they are enforcing.
Your social credit score
It's just-
is negative
I know, I may
850,
be
and when you
visited by
see
the
this
police
video
department.
not live, there will be a blank spot here, and we'll just be talking, responding to no one.
Hey,
So
tune
there'll be
in
no
next week
audio.
to see if Oldham's even still there.
say hi to Alex for us.
Hey,
us how
I'm
the FEMA
Tom
camps
McKay.
are.
I'm your host for 3D Politics every week, 7 to 8, or even longer sometimes. David Van, David Oldham, David D'Ambroso.
Yeah, I gotta say, if David's not here next week, Alex Jones will be sitting in for him. 2 weeks from tonight,
That would be
I'll be visiting supposedly my high school class reunion.
You're not supposed
I
to
made,
say that.
Yeah, we're gonna try to-
We'll have a public
Because if you
information
say that
officer
publicly,
provided
they
by
don't have to get
TBD
you
instead.
down.
yeah. Well, it was supposed to be my class reunion. Finds out my brother went to his last year and they weren't there. All there were was old people. None of his high school classmates were there.
Then it's a bit too close to home. I'm not comfortable with that at all.
Remember, next week I'm going to be bringing you that amazing story about the 10-year threat of rapture. It's been going on since the 1300s. It's the fatalism contagion. It ties into the climate change theory of fear mongering. To get out of here, David Van, Soonerpolitics.org, David Oldham, ConstitutionalGrounds.com, and of course, David D'Ambroso at Dave D'Ambroso on Facebook. I'm Tom McKay. Yell at me on 3D Politics page. We'll see you next week.